you made an identity politics argument based on your identity, which strikes me as a contradiction of sorts. That was weird to me.
There's the support of politics based on someone's identity and the support of opposition to that, right? I don't. And let me make clear, some identity politics are absolutely a good thing. It's identitarianism that's a bad thing. So maybe that's. So I tell people this: authority is a good thing. Like when a doctor tells you, "Hey, there's someone injured. Put your hand on the wound." That's true authority. You'll just do it. You know they're right. Okay. But authoritarianism is a really, really bad thing. So telling someone in our society you cannot factor in race in terms of public accommodation, that's a violation of civil rights. I like that. When you say we're absolutely going to factor in race, I don't like that. So it's nuanced, I guess, right?
And does anyone who's saying that we have to factor in race when it's not a relevant factor?
The ACLU, when they supported affirmative action at Harvard, which lumps all Asians, Indian, Chinese, Laotians into one category, and I find that offensive as an Asian person.
This woke idiot David Pakman has been getting destroyed by many people recently, going on a lot of different shows, bringing people on his own show like he's doing here with Tim Pool, and getting absolutely destroyed by many different people. Let's get into this clip here from the David Pakman show, where David Pakman invites Tim Pool onto his own show, onto his own YouTube channel, the David Pakman show, and Tim Pool absolutely demolishes him on the issue of identity politics, as well as many other issues of the woke left. Let's get into this clip here of Tim Pool destroying David Pakman.
People are right now taking a quote from Vox.com to make it seem like I am an anti-Semite so they can get me removed from my bank account and stuff. That's not coming from conservatives. It never has.
That's fair. That's totally fair. But I guess what's important to me...
I will go through these videos, though. I will. So forgive me.
And I actually don't need you to do an accounting of each video. For me, it's more, if I look at your channel and 85% is criticisms that are what I would consider relatively niche in terms of their existence on the left. It doesn't strike me as someone whose priorities are center left to say, here's what I think 85% of my channel should be.
But here's the thing. Tulsi Gabbard denounced identity politics outright with Michael Tracy. She said straight up, it's divisive, it's bad for us.
Okay.
Identitarianism is one of the biggest things that I have a problem with due to my family history being, I know it's kind of a meme, but mixed. And this comes from... When we look,
if you enjoy content like this, to make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
At affirmative
But Tim,
action,
isn't that identity politics? You're saying your view on this is informed. You're against identity politics as informed by your identity.
Yeah, it is what it is. I'll put it this way. I am not permitted the left nor the right allow me an identity. So what that does is it kind of ostracizes me. And what I find not recluse, but what I find safe harbor, I guess, is the fact that the U.S. actually had protections against discrimination based on race in these things. So for me, someone who's experienced it from both directions, I'm apprehensive towards either direction. When I have the left telling me I'm a white male and the right telling me I'm a mudblood, like I'm not going to be happy.
Fine, but Tim, so I have the left saying I'm not Jewish, I'm white, and I have white privilege. And I have the right saying, I'm not white, I'm Jewish, and Jews are a race that is really bad, and we should be really... So the fact that... But that doesn't make me all of a sudden say, I'm going to do 85% of my videos and criticize the left, you know what I mean?
I don't think Tim Pool is saying that is what's making him... Like, if all things are equal, let's say that they are, which they're not, but let's just say, for the sake of argument, that all things are equal, that Tim Pool is getting equally, there's equal racism from the right and the left against Tim Pool, which is not the case, but let's say it is, then why would he be going after the left 85% of the time? Well, if all things were equal, that would mean because the left is just that much more unhinged that Tim Pool has enough content to make about the left 85% more than he does about the right wing. And that's just facts. Even if all things were equal, which once again, they aren't, the left is way more unhinged and there's way more content that someone like Tim Pool can make about the left. Even though Tim Pool likes to say he's, center left, actually, in today's age, he's not center left. The left has just gone so far to the left. The woke left has just pushed them so far left that it's not even like there's no way that Tim Pool is center left. He's right wing at this point. And people on the left, people like David Pakman would probably call him alt right. So I don't think all things are equal. And I think I haven't watched this before doing this. You guys know I don't pre-watch these, but I would think that Tim Pool's response here would say that he's not getting it equally from the right and the left. It's way more from the left. Like there's way more people telling him that he's evil because his skin is pale than there is people on the right who are saying you're not full white, therefore we don't like you. Like honestly, when have you guys ever heard? I've never heard that in my life. I don't hear many people saying that on the right at all. And maybe I'm just out of touch, but I don't know. I come from the deep South, and I don't hear that ever. I've never heard that in my life. So I don't know what the hell David Pakman and Tim Pool are talking about in that sense. But I would think that Tim Pool's response here to David Pakman and that ridiculous response that David Pakman gave would be that, well, I hear it way more from the left, so therefore I'm going to attack the woke left more.
No, I think it's what you personally find important, right? You know, if you watch any of my videos, like, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
Subject matter doesn't dictate politics, simply because you've got, you know, who's, and again, it's my opinion, but
Sure.
when I say who's trying to remove people from the internet, it's not like Nancy Pelosi. It's a particular sect of a group of progressive, more far left individuals who's trying to get people removed from their banks, who's trying to get people banned, who's arguing in favor of regulation that restricts speech. It's not conservatives and it's not moderate Democrats.
Okay, but a lot of your stories don't
freaks me
relate
out.
specifically to that issue. But let's not belabor it. I do find it sort of interesting, though, that in the same sentence that you said you're against identity politics and that's why you like Tulsi, you made an identity politics argument based on your identity, which strikes me as a contradiction of sorts. That was weird to me.
There's the support of politics based on someone's identity and the support of opposition to that, right? I don't. And let me make clear, some identity politics are absolutely a good thing. It's identitarianism that's a bad thing. So maybe that's. So I tell people this: authority is a good thing. Like when a doctor tells you, "Hey, there's someone injured. Put your hand on the wound." That's true authority. You'll just do it. You know they're right. Okay. But authoritarianism is a really, really bad thing. So telling someone in our society you cannot factor in race in terms of public accommodation, that's a violation of civil rights. I like that. When you say we're absolutely going to factor in race, I don't like that. So it's nuanced, I guess, right?
And does anyone who's saying that we have to factor in race when it's not a relevant factor?
The ACLU, when they supported affirmative action at Harvard, which lumps all Asians, Indian, Chinese, Laotians into one category, and I find that offensive as an Asian person. And so,
yeah, and I mean, how does David Pakman even ask that question, man? It's gotten so ridiculous. Like, I like that Tim Pool actually brought up the Asian thing first, because the Asians, when it comes to the DEI stuff, when it comes to the ACLU stuff, the Asians kind of get it the worst, man. Like, I understand that in the public eye on social media, white people are demonized a lot, especially white Christians are demonized a ton, but nobody really talks about, other than Tim Pool. At least I don't see them. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of comments saying, oh, I talk about this. But like, I don't see many people talking about this other than Tim Pool and what he's saying here on David Pakman's show. Asians really get the very short end of the stick when it comes to this DEI stuff. Like, you would think that Asians would benefit from it because they aren't white. And that's what everybody thinks DEI is just like anti-white, which most of it is. But there's a ton of Asians getting turned away from Ivy League schools because there's too many Asians in these schools. And they get turned away in favor for these people of other races who are much less qualified to be there. And if you just think about, like, even if we're not thinking, oh, poor Asians, just think about the implications of this on society. Like, if there was 100 Asians who were going to Harvard to be doctors, to be surgeons, let's say, and then they were like, oh no, there's too many Asians here. We have to get at least 50% to be non-Asian. So they let in 50, they kick out 50 of the Asians who were supposed to go there, and they let in 50 non-Asians, let's just say, to be safe. Let's just say non-Asians, who are much less qualified, lower IQ, lower ACT score, lower GPA, everything, way less qualified. But they're a different race. That means that there's going to be 50 out of 100 surgeons who aren't the best of the best. So we're kicking out 50 of the best surgeons, and we're letting in 50 surgeons who are not qualified only because they're a certain race get into Harvard, and they get to now graduate and say, I graduated from Harvard, get that certificate, and go get the best of the best surgeon job out there. And now you have people operating on others who never even deserved to be there in the first place. Just think about the long-term implications on society if we keep going down this road. So I like that Tim Pool actually brought that up, because it's very, very important. You know, the DEI stuff, I think that it's important to talk about how, you know, white people and white Christians in particular are demonized with the DEI stuff. I think it's also very important and also overlooked most of the time that Asians get a complete short end of the stick when it comes to the DEI stuff.
So when I come out and say,
but Tim, that's an identity to say. You should be able to argue whether it's offensive or not offensive, right or not right, without saying because you are part Asian. You find, like, that's identity politics, which you claim to be against.
I agree. And I think the clarification then, I think what we're discovering here is that it's not so much the core idea of identity politics, it's the application of in ways that either is reductive or authoritarian.
Let me know in the comments who you think won this debate between Tim Pool and David Pakman. To me, it was pretty obvious. And this is actually a clip from the David Pakman show. So he tried to clip this out to make it seem like David Pakman won this. And this was a little bit before Tim Pool got like super blackpilled on the left wing. So he wasn't fully, where he is today. And he still was very much destroying the left wing, even back then when he was still trying his best to be center left. It's just not, he's not even close to that anymore. And he wasn't close to that back then. Just not because of how radicalized Tim Pool has become, but just because of how radicalized people like David Pakman and the woke left have become. Let me know in the comments what you think about this episode of the David Pakman show, where Tim Pool absolutely demolishes David Pakman on his own show.